Alright guys, this is Tacho here, and today we're going to do a bit of a different type of video. We're just going to do a discussion about the latest chapter in Hunter x Hunter, which is chapter 366. So if you haven't read the chapter yourself yet, there's definitely going to be spoilers in this video, so keep that in mind. You may want to read the chapter first for yourself before watching this video. So go ahead and do that, but anyway, we're going to start talking about it now. A lot of bombshells were dropped in this chapter, which is why I thought it was a good idea to actually discuss it with you guys and talk about what happened. So a lot going on here. The first thing I want to talk about is the relationship between Kurapika and the third prince, Zhang Lei or Choiro. It depends on what translation you're actually reading because he's got two different names. But for the translation that I've been reading, his name is Zhang Lei, so I'm going to go with that. So the third prince, Zhang Lei, it seems like he has some kind of alliance with Kurapika now because they're trading information and they're trying to help each other out. And once Zhang Lei found out that Kurapika was short on men, because a lot of his bodyguards were destroyed in an attack, Zhang Lei decided to actually loan some of his own bodyguards to Kurapika to kind of strengthen his forces and give him more options in the upcoming situation. So that was really nice of him to do. And I think, for the most part, I think Zhang Lei is someone that Kurapika can trust for the moment. Of course, it's still a battle of the princes, and they're all trying to kill each other to gain control of the throne. But I think, for now, Zhang Lei should be okay. And another really interesting thing that happened was, we go back to that fourth prince that's learning Nen, and he's apparently a genius when it comes to Nen, because he was able to feel his aura in a matter of seconds. Which, if you go back to Heaven's Arena and how long it took Gon and Killua to master Nen, it took them a couple of weeks. They didn't get it right away. They had to train and work hard for a while. But when it came to the fourth prince, what's his name? When it came to the fourth prince, Seidenreich or I don't even know his name, man. Seried, something like that. I guess we'll just call him Seried for now, or the fourth prince. But yeah. He's a genius when it comes to using Nen, and he was able to master it in a matter of seconds, or at least being able to see his aura. So what does this mean going on into the future? I think this guy has a lot of potential to become one of the most dangerous Nen users of all time, and in fact, his bodyguards were actually worried about that too, because they were saying, okay, if this guy learns how to use Nen, he's going to be unstoppable, he's going to be the most evil man on the planet, and we can't allow him to learn how to use Nen. So they actually, because he found out about Nen inadvertently because of the Nen beasts on the trip, they had no choice and they had to start teaching him Nen, and it looks like he's really picking it up at a fast pace. So it's possible that he could develop a Nen ability before this whole succession war is over, and if that's the case, then he's going to be a really big threat. So watch out for him. And he's actually one of the people that Kurapika is definitely gunning for because he's the one that stole all of the scarlet eyes of Kurapika's people. So in the end, Kurapika is going to have to face him down at some point. We don't know when. So that's it for that. And then, now, another thing that happened was we went into the dinner party. And if you go back a couple of chapters and you recall what happened, basically Kurapika used the steel chain ability to use the dolphin and steal a Nen power from somebody. And then, because he couldn't use it himself, he gave it to Queen Oito. So now she has this ability. And as long as this ability does not get used, Kurapika is forced to stay into Emperor Time. And as we also recall from a couple of chapters back, they severely nerfed Emperor Time and Kurapika. And the drawback is that for every second that Emperor Time is activated, it's going to shave off a massive amount of time on Kurapika's life. So it's shortening his lifespan, and he has no way to turn it off unless this ability gets used. So that's a really heavy drawback, actually, and it's really coming into play a lot here because it doesn't look like there's any way Kurapika is going to be able to use this ability anytime soon. Because once they got to the dinner party, which was where they were planning for Queen Oito to use this power, it turns out that all the princes are there, but on top of that, all the bodyguards are there as well. So the ability that Queen Oito was given is to turn either a small animal or an insect into sort of like a spy, I guess, and have them spy on the other princes to get information. But that's not going to be easy for them to do in this very packed room with all the bodyguards watching and everyone or not everyone, but a lot of people there can use Nen. So if she tries any funny business and uses that ability, people are going to know and they're going to be onto her. So it's a really tough situation that they're in now, and especially on Kurapika, because the longer he's in Emperor time, the shorter his life is going to be. And we've seen this drawback in other anime and manga before. Like, okay, if you use this skill too many times, we're going to give you this really broken skill, but every time you use it, it's going to shorten your life. Well, if you go back in Naruto and you remember the first time Naruto used the Rasen Shuriken on Kakuzu, Tsunade actually told him, okay, you can't use this technique anymore because it's shortening your life. Well, guess what, man? Naruto went ahead and he used it like a million more times and absolutely nothing happened to him. So, yeah, so basically what I'm trying to get at is that drawbacks in Hunter x Hunter are very big and they really matter. So when it comes to Kurapika's Emperor time shortening his life, that has some really big implications to it. And unlike in other series where the drawback is you shorten your life, this ability actually, he is forced to use it. He cannot turn it off. So that's a really big deal. He might actually end up dying. I mean, I gotta admit, this could be really bad for him if he can't manage to have Queen Oito use this skill in the right amount of time. So, okay. The very last bombshell they dropped in this chapter is that Crollo is on the boat. Yeah. In the very final page, we saw Crollo on the boat, and he's crushing a cockroach under his shoe. Crollo is not happy. After what happened to Coltopi and Shalnark, Crollo is out for blood, and his killing intent is so big that even a commoner on the boat looked at him and he was like, okay, man, you gotta chill out, because you look like you're about to kill somebody. So Crollo is on the boat, and that just makes me wonder who else is on this boat now, because we know on the upper deck of the boat we have the princes and we have all the bodyguards up there, and they're competing in the succession war to try and crown the new king. But on the lower decks of this boat, we don't really know who's on it. I'm going to have to actually go back and read some of the previous chapters before the hiatus to kind of refresh my memory and figure out what's going on exactly on the boat. But from what I can gather, Crollo's on the boat. We have visual confirmation that he's on the boat. And if he's on the boat, then what does that mean for the rest of the spiders? Because if you remember, Crollo said that their goal on this mission was to get on the boat and steal all the treasures from the princes and then get the hell out of there. So I think that's their plan there. We don't know exactly where the treasures are hidden. I think something was said about the treasures being on one of the lower decks or something, and that's where Crollo happens to be. So I think he's going to make his move soon, but he's definitely not going to make his move alone. I think he's got some backup there. There's definitely other spiders on the boat. We just don't know exactly where they are just yet. And I mean, if the spiders are on the boat, then doesn't that mean Hisoka's on the boat too? Because we all know that Hisoka's after Crollo right now. He's gunning for him. So I think there's a good chance that Hisoka's probably on the boat too. So if Kurapika doesn't, I don't think Kurapika really cares who it is that kills Crollo. Like, he's already asked for help from Gon and Killua back in the Yorkshin City arc. So I don't think that Kurapika really has a problem if Hisoka is the one to kill all the spiders. What Kurapika's main goal is to do is to survive the succession war, make sure that Queen Oito and her baby manage to make it out alive, and also to reclaim his lost eyes from his people, which we know that the fourth prince has. So that's pretty much how that goes. And I don't know if Hisoka's actually going to kill all the spiders either, because he had a chance to kill Machi before, but he let her go. So I think there's some kind of like relationship type of tension going on between Hisoka and Machi, where they kind of have a thing for each other, but they don't really want to admit it. So I don't know if Hisoka's actually going to kill Machi, because he had the chance and he didn't do it. And I also don't think that Hisoka's going to kill Kaluto, because we already know that Kaluto is Zoldyck and he's Illumi's younger brother. So I don't think Hisoka really wants to piss off Illumi, since they are buddies. And actually, that seems to be the only relationship that Hisoka actually values, is the one that he has with Illumi. So I think they might be okay there. I think Kaluto is probably safe from Hisoka in that regard. But then again, when it comes to Hisoka, you never really know, because Hisoka could always just fly off the handle and kill Kaluto so that Illumi gets mad at him and comes after him, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. And that also makes me wonder about one last thing, which is whether or not Nen After Death actually applies to Kohltopi and Shalnark, because think about it. We know that Crollo's Skill Hunter lets him take abilities from anybody, and as we saw in his fight with Hisoka, the Sun and Moon ability that he stole from somebody, that person actually died, and because of Nen After Death, they stayed in the book, and Crollo still has those abilities. So what if the same is true for Kohltopi and Shalnark? What if Nen After Death happened to them as well, and Crollo still has their abilities in his book despite them dying? I think that could be a really interesting plot twist and really make Hisoka have less of a chance of beating Crollo now if he still has those abilities. So that's going to wrap up the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this discussion, and if you're open to seeing more discussions like this about Hunter x Hunter, there's a whole bunch of other topics that I'd like to talk about, but I don't know if you guys are really interested in it, so comment down below, let me know what you think and what your thoughts were on the new chapter. And as always, this is your boy Tacho signing out, so cheers, have a great day, and I hope to see you again next time.